Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Gavick. I'm honored to be here today with Dr. Rafael Gonzalez, scientist and 20 years in the industry of cellular biology, and also Dr. Tom D'Angelo from Lumex, who is going to be sharing with us his new product line. So, Dr. Gonzalez, one of the interesting things about the product that Dr. D'Angelo is bringing out is that it has a very special component in it.
It does.
Give us an idea how that works.
It's quite a bit of backing of research that we've spent a long time looking in the regenerative medicine sector, and in particular looking at a particular type of stem cells that is obtained from umbilical cord tissue, and it's actually a patented technology, which is pretty neat. But in particular, this stem cell is grown a specific way, and in the context of Lumex, what we're actually looking at more than anything else is what we've obtained and what we've done with this product specifically for topical and cosmetic use. So essentially, we look at the umbilical cord, as we know well, as essentially somewhat of a fountain of youth, believe it or not. If you look at stem cells in general, if you look at what's out there in stem cell field, you'll actually see that the umbilical cord is probably, if not, proven as being one of the strongest fountains of regenerative medicine or of stem cells. And it makes complete sense because the umbilical cord look at, fetal maternal transfer. Both child has to have DNA of both father and mother, and it's not rejected. And the cord itself helps, of course, with quite a bit of, transfer of information. And not only that, though, stem cells, everybody's familiar with cord blood, but this in particular is from cord tissue, where we grow up a particular type of stem cell called a mesenchymal stem cell. And it's, many people have grown these cells up, but it's in the context of the way we've grown these cells up.
So this has been years of research, correct?
Correct, yes.
It didn't just happen overnight.
It didn't happen overnight. I mean, we have a publication in 2010, a scientific publication, looking at a specific methodology of growing up this particular cells.
So to be clear, you're not actually using these stem cells in this product.
Correct. No. In this product, no. It's what we're actually using is what's obtained from stem cells, and these are called exosomes. And if you look at stem cells, every thought originally in the field that you take a stem cell and it'll regenerate an organ, it'll regenerate skin, it'll do all this other stuff. That's not actually the case. We now know that all cells in the body, all cells, including stem cells, communicate through these minor vesicles, small little vesicles that are about 1 to 1,000th the size of an actual cell.
Right.
And what they do is they find ways to communicate so they can survive, and then we can live sort of in peace.
So what would be the benefit of putting an exosome, say, as a topical application or in a cosmetic product?
Well, if we consider what we've done is we can take stem cells or almost any cell type, and in vitro, basically in glass when we grow them up, we can somewhat manipulate them to cause them to secrete out what we want. This particular product that we've actually produced, these exosomes, are specifically designed for cosmetic use, for topical use. We put them in a condition where the cells secrete these things out, and the secretions that are actually out, these exosomes, not only is it exosomes, but also we discuss extracellular matrix. Right. The most abundant one in our body is collagen type 1, type 3. The second most abundant is hyaluronic acid, and not only that, it's hyaluronic acid in high molecular weight. Exactly. That's naturally occurring in this umbilical cord stem cell-based product. So it's secreted out, and we somewhat force these cells to secrete the stuff out, capture it. So we have extracellular matrix, which is beyond important in skin structure. Right. There's nothing more important. And then we also have exosomes, signalers that cause other cells in there to make changes so we live healthy.
So if you're putting this in a cosmetic product or you're having it applied to your skin, what's the goal? What's the goal of these exosomes in application to our body?
The goal is actually to get your own skin to start doing some work, because eventually it becomes dormant. And your skin doesn't secrete out elastin, which deals with elasticity of skin, doesn't secrete out that collagen like we did when we were younger, and then therefore we start getting wrinkles. We get all these wrinkles, and it's because our own cells are not functioning correctly. if you can get something to help your own cells, which is what the way this is designed, you now have that function, that gain of function again.
So that's the adage. I mean, you don't see teenagers coming in complaining of bags under their eyes or crow's feet or crepey skin on their neck, right? Mm-hmm. It's your 40, 50, 60 and beyond that have this. So, Tom, Dr. D'Angelo, tell us, you put this into two different types of products.
Yep.
Give us an idea of the applications.
Okay. So the application that we use currently, we're going to create it for the esthetician to use. They can use it inside of the salon, that we can regenerate, create that radiance glow to the skin.
So basically, they're gonna do an aesthetic procedure on the face.
Exactly.
And the intent behind the science is that these exosomes will stimulate our cells.
Yep.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
And then what's your other product?
The other products is some take-home products that you can carry at home and use it every day. Just like day cream, night cream, serums, and the misting to allow more on the recovery of the skin and then create those elasticity that Dr. Raphael was mentioned to create stimulation of the cell in your skin.
So basically, you're going to have your aesthetic procedure every 3 months or 6 months, however you do it. But then you have the capability of taking home a take-home exosome-based hydration product so that you can actually do it every day in order to try to maintain what you've had from that procedure.
Absolutely.
That's genius. That's genius.
Yeah.
I mean, based not only on the science, 15 years
Yes.
of digging through the science, and then your just idea of putting this in. I mean, we know there are products out on the market today that have exosomes.
Correct. Not necessarily human
Exactly.
exosomes.
I'm
or
familiar.
exosomes from the mesenchymal stem cells in particular, which
Correct.
you got these plant-based ones.
Yep.
And I don't quite understand that much science behind a plant-based one.
Well, I think that brings up another discussion because there are a couple different exosomes out there. So we see one that comes from amniotic fluid. We see one that comes from adipose tissue. One comes from bone marrow, and yours comes from mesenchymal stem cells.
Of umbilical
So
cord.
what would be the difference between that and, say, your basic amniotic exosome?
Well, if you consider what the umbilical cord does in itself, it's designed to do what? Sustain life.
Exactly.
That's what it does. That's its main focus and its main goal. And the cells that come off of there are relatively young. We have evidence of how young they are.
Right.
They're not that of taking it from a bone marrow of 40-year-old, 20-year-old, whatever it may be. Even when you grow up cells, they artificially age.
Right.
So even at the point that the stuff that we've done testing on, they're really young, vibrant cells that secrete out in abundance. And then we've also guided them, like I said,
Right.
to produce what we want specifically for topical use and for skin.
Protein.
Yep.
Protein's the biggie. But if you were to compare mesenchymal-derived exosome to an amniotic fluid-derived exosome, can you categorize the difference in this?
Well, one of the biggest issues is getting a consistent based product. And amniotic fluid from one donor is not going to be the same thing as amniotic fluid from another donor, and etc. These products have specifically been donated. The umbilical cord has been donated from non-viral individuals,
Right.
believe it or not. And then there's a consistent way to grow these up. There's no virus in any one of these, mesenchymal stem cells. It's a completely clean product that is stable because it's grown the same exact way from the same exact stem cell line.
So if we were to define a mesenchymal stem cell, they basically aid in repair, restoration, and regeneration of damaged tissue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the MSCs.
Yes.
What's the concentration, would you think, of MSCs in an amniotic-based product?
It's going to be relatively low because the amount of stem cells, amniotic fluid is mostly what's called epithelial origin.
Right.
The amount of stem cells in there are going to be really, really low in the less than 1% range, something like that. Versus this is completely off of pure mesenchymal stem cells.
So in your 20 years of experience in science and in research, is this the first product you've ever seen that is derived from a pure MSC exosome for a topical application? Do you feel like this is a premier product, or is there something better that we need to be striving for?
No, 100%. And it's not only that. There may be other products out there that are designed with pure mesenchymal stem cells, but this is from the umbilical cord. And the way we've grown this up, the studies that we've done on this for many years, we're not talking 2 years of study, 3 years of studies. We're talking over 11 years of studying this particular cell type. And the secretome, what we're using, the exosome-based product, has been studied for over 7 years now, quite a bit. And it's the way it's designed. Not only that, though, it's also the blend that that has been put together, that has been also studied. Internally, we've done some studies with taking this and mixing it to make it stable with peptides. Everybody knows the term peptides now. It's a super hot, term out there now. It's working great with cosmetics, with many other things too.
Well, speaking of research, you've also tested this in the lab on its capability to stimulate cells, right?
Yes. Yeah, we have. And we now know that it can actually stimulate your own cells to secrete out two of the most important key things in skin, which is elastin and collagen type 1-3.
Perfect. So, Dr. D'Angelo, the question is, when are we going to get this product?
Well, we due to launch in the next month. The product's ready to go.
Perfect.